Even the 5 court ladies danced in sync to the frogs, flutes, and drums. The whirlwind of the recycled paper was a sight to see. It was like computer graphics, but I don't support Technicolor parfaits, and snobby petite bourgeois is common knowledge in Oceania. Now is the time to return home to the blue sky. The confetti will dance around the shrine gates. The mailbox and the refrigerator will lead the way.
Mike.
Heck?
I think
sorry.
that's copyright. That's copyright, Mike.
Oh, guys, I think someone was sharing a dream with me.
Yeah, I did that yesterday.
Oh, no. Well, folks, if you haven't figured it out, today's episode is about Paprika, and this is Film Logic, a movie podcast about the movies of yesterday, today, and tomorrow with every fandom in between. I am with my dreamers. I'm with Ivy.
Hello.
I'm with Vin.
What up?
I'm with Adam.
Hey-o.
And of course, I'm Mike. So welcome, guys. What are we going to talk about today?
My favorite spice.
Oh.
No.
Really, really underrated.
Yeah,
The spice family.
It is, though. I put it in everything. Spaghetti, meatballs.
I'm
If
a
you
fan
haven't-
of smoked paprika myself. Kind of paprika's, down home southern barbecue cousin.
Oh.
Ooh, fancy. So welcome to the Spice Rack, the only podcast that rates every spice.
It's actually a Dune podcast, but
Yes.
I wish.
Oh,
Spice must flow.
could you imagine every episode is about an aspect of Dune?
I mean, I could.
you could probably
I
do
bet-
it.
I bet you get like 8 or 10 episodes out of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to win the Oscar, right?
For
Oh, for
best
sure.
film? No, probably not. Probably best cinematography or like effects or something, but I don't know. Sci-fi doesn't usually win best picture, fortunately.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, that Everything Everywhere All at Once was sci-fi. And that one, kind of, not too long ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
Did you think it was a biopic?
I guess. I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't. This isn't a podcast about everything everywhere all at once.
No, we can't get 8 episodes.
about everything except paprika.
We can't do everything everywhere all at once. We can't do anime and action and romance and existentialism and anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Not all at once. But we can talk about an anime that we've been itching to see. And all of us got a chance to see Paprika that came out in 2006. And now we're going to have a little discussion about it.
Oh boy.
So, can anyone explain the synopsis of Paprika? Or do we each all have to bring in a puzzle piece?
I understand parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it all. I think part of it was because I had it on in the morning, so I was still not quite awake. So I didn't absorb it as well as I could have. So my opinion and, take on it probably isn't as informed as, like Adam's. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have to be impressed because Ivy sets her DVD alarm to play Paprika every morning.
It wakes me up. I woke up to a big parade of dolls and things. Yeah.
So yes, off to a great plot analysis. Um, Adam, will you help us with the names of the main characters and what they do?
Sure. I mean, so it follows several characters. I mean, and I'm going to just butcher these names because I cannot speak Japanese. But it features the main character, Dr. Chiba, who is a psychiatrist, and she works for a company with a genius slash childish like inventor named Dr. Tonkita, and they work under the chief of staff, Dr. Hori, who's like this kind of like cheerful, friendly old man with glasses, and they work for this company owned by oh my gosh, Inui. I don't know, but he's like this paraplegic chairman who is on like the psychiatric research council, and he kind of like owns. He's on the board of directors for like this company, and the movie follows the invention from this company that allows people to enter dreams, and they use it for the purposes of psychotherapy, and but they realize that one of their devices has been stolen, and there's an individual that is using the device to invade other people's dreams, and um, causing bad things to happen, and causing like people in real life to kind of have a snap with reality and kind of go into this like crazed state, and then causing harm to themselves, and um, they think that like their dreams are manifesting in the real world. So it follows the main character, of course, Dr. Chiba, who moonlights as um, a for hire psychotherapist called Paprika that goes into your dreams and helps you solve things that are wrong with your brain. And it's about them investigating who stole this device and who's behind it, and et cetera, et cetera.
Mm, excellent. And just so everyone knows, this year it's the 19th anniversary of Paprika. And if that's not a reason to celebrate, I don't know what is.
Very fitting.
Yes.
Very fitting.
But, we kept mentioning how pivotal this movie was and how much of a surprise it was. Because of its art style and because how it's heavy sci-fi elements. And because it feels like one of those movies where you can just have a bunch of theories and, kind of like how people theorize about Fight Club or The Matrix. And it's just, it's a lot of fun water cooler talk.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very Lynchian in that way.
Definitely ticks the boxes on movies that are, cerebral, visually appealing, just something, and with a good subplot.
Yeah. So just like the movie opening up, I didn't know what to expect. All I know is like the DVD cover, which has like this red-headed girl with a big goofy smile. I never in my life did I think, oh, this is going to be some hard sci-fi. Because from the DVD cover, it looks like, kids frolicking in a field energy right there.
It looks like the Wendy's logo.
Yeah. But then, Adam, you kept bringing up how much movies like Inception might have borrowed some of their cinematography. And I'm like, okay, we should just check this out. And the opening scene had a circus where a tiny clown or a huge clown gets out of a tiny car. And I'm like, I am ready for this. This is going to change my life.
Obviously, this is an audio podcast and we can't show pictures, but just imagine the car is like the size of, one of those models that your grandpa might have on his shelf, like on his mantle or something. Like a little 1/64th scale clown car. And then this just, first shot, door opens, and then giant clown legs sprout from it.
Mm-hmm. Now, what other dream where dreams are reality kind of fantasy idea movies are there that this could technically compete against or go alongside?
Actually, I thought of one particular movie when I was like 10, 15, well, yeah, like 10 minutes into the movie. Have you guys seen The Cell?
No, but I know what you're talking about with Jennifer Lopez. Yeah.
Yes, Jennifer Lopez. It was kind of billed as, The Matrix meets Silence of the Lambs, because it was about a psychiatrist who goes into the minds of, catatonic, usually patients, patients who can't otherwise, vocalize their feelings. And, it's this very abstract construct that's, sort of relative to the doctor and the patient. And yeah, there's a whole serial killer subplot in there as well. But that's where I went in the first 10 minutes of it, because as it so happens, this happens to be the dream of a police officer who is guided through his visions by Paprika, the dream therapist.
Right. So, yeah, so kind of like in the beginning of Inception, they're kind of pulling the Inception team's kind of pulling like a dream job. They're trying to get into someone's head to unlock a safe. Kind of same idea with Paprika. She's like walking with this police chief, going through like these cryptic thoughts and ideas in his head, trying to figure out what they mean and why out of the blue, everyone with this old guy with a mustache is the face of everyone in the crowd in the circus, and why are they chasing him?
Yeah, why is J. Jonah Jameson tormenting himself? That's what I wanted to know.
Now, let's pivot to the artistic style. I absolutely prefer the realism that Paprika brought to this, over the, cartoons that are closer to Hamtaro.
Same.
Just looking at the crowd, that the crowd actually looked Japanese was like this movie cares about its location. Okay. All right.
It knows its audience.
Yeah. And
more or less.
The fact that the animation is so smooth. Just thinking about how many people had to draw so many cells.
And it wasn't like it was rotoscoped or anything.
I felt like it was.
It did feel like it. I mean, you can tell though. You can tell when something is rotoscope. It's got, ungodly, frame rates of 120 frames per second, where it's like smooth as ice on glass. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this didn't have it, but it was very, very realistic, as
Mm-hmm.
about as realistic as traditional hand-drawn animation could get. So yes, a lot of hours went into this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Paprika, I mean, part of it is it was made by Studio Madhouse, who, has done small things like Ninja Scroll and Perfect Blue and Black Lagoon and One Punch Man and Free Ren and stuff like that. Um and part of it was actually one of the like first um it was one of the first movies that kind of used CGI as well as hand drawn animation, especially in the faces. Um,
Oh.
yeah. So some of the effects are hand drawn, some effects are CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it kind of the CGI gave it like weight, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. No, admittedly, I had no idea when this movie was made while I was watching it. So I had guessed, because it was a very serious, a very sci-fi heavy movie, and the 80s usually had one of those. I'm like, this is very good for its time, being in the late 80s. And then I looked and it was 2006.
Oops.
Also, she mentions the internet um,
Yeah.
on there, so I'm like, whoa, these
Whoa,
guys,
this is way ahead of its time.
these guys were on the ground floor of web browsing. Mhm.
That's really funny.
Yeah, you don't see such realism in anime. Or I mean, maybe I'm not looking at the right places, or maybe I'm just looking at the front page of Hulu, and they're in bed with shonen. So to me, to see something that's like trying to get body shapes and figures and colors and like the little things right,
Mhm.
and not doing like I mean, it's the eyes. The eyes aren't like cartoonish. They're like you can
Right.
actually see a real human behind them.
Yeah,
That was refreshing.
they're not like two giant shiny orbs with like
Yeah.
47 highlights and sparkles in them.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine Paprika but made by like Akira Toriyama? You know, where the lead scientists look like
I,
Bulba.
I would pay really good to see that.
Yeah, it would have such a different feel.
Yeah, it's definitely very aesthetically pleasing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And a lot of anime does go for the exaggerated style, you know. It's kind of like how caricatures work, even though it's a drawing, like it gives you it gives your brain more information by exaggerating all of the poses. So like, a lot of like shonen anime, the punches will like be reaching across the entire screen, and fights will last like
Hmm.
like minutes. Like, and I'm not even talking
Right.
about just regular fights, just like the one series of punches from, like the beatdown that Cujo was, laying into Dio. I think it was like 8 pages in the original manga.
Yeah.
Just nothing but aura, 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 aura. No, no, no.
Yeah.
No, they in Paprika, they took all of that care, all of that attention to detail, and they focused it in on capturing just how accurate, a people move, how people look, whether it's talking to each other face to face, or if they're like sitting in a car driving. It's just an incredible attention to detail that
Mm-hmm.
I I don't think I can't really think of another anime off the top of my head that really has, that much, that goes into that realistic of detail without falling back on more caricature-esque, design features.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it goes, so you have the soft open, and then it goes into like this music video where you kind of see that Paprika, she's not like a real human in the sense that she's like part of reality, but she's like a persona of the doctor. And that, music video is kind of cool where they're kind of doing like close-up shots, and then the shot becomes a totally different scene, and then she's like, kind of how dreams just don't make sense. They just flow into each other. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
They did great perspective tricks where, Paprika will be, at one moment she'll be like walking over a crosswalk, and okay, another JoJo reference. She'll like Zawarudo, everything still, and just like skipping between everyone, frozen. And, she'll be walking and her face will line up with a car for like a couple frames, and all of a sudden she's driving the car.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's it's like it's like water. It's like water transitions. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where I'm
Yeah.
going with it. The transitions felt very fluid, like water.
Yes. You have to
Yeah.
make up words to describe it. I totally get it.
I'm pretty sure water's real.
You know what? I'm going to look into that.
Water isn't real.
Mhm.
Don't buy the propaganda.
So, this is a high concept sci-fi project. And if there's one thing I know about movies that use dreams, is that they don't like to follow their own rules, or they don't like to tell you the rules so that you can follow along.
Mhm.
Did Paprika do that? Did they pull an Inception and just kind of make up stuff as it went down the story?
I was just confused because later in the movie, what ends up happening is that the dream stuff kind of invades the real world, and there's people that can do things without having to use the little device.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand like where that power came from. Like, why can you do it without the little DC Mini?
Yeah. Yeah. The DC Mini, the thing they put on your head.
Yeah.
Is it able so Paprika can walk through your dreams and they're videotaped? And then suddenly, when the terrorist gets it, he can like mind bullet
Yeah.
into people
Mhm.
from long distance. And we're like, okay, that's the reality. And then later, we're talking about how now everyone can see the same like image. Everyone can see the same dream, and they go into the fact that like this terrorist is putting all the dreams together in this wild Grateful Dead parade. And yeah, then that's when everything hits the fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Because apparently with this, augmented technology, it sort of gives life to, like, literal life to the dreams. And I gotta admit, it did kind of lose me there a little bit. My my suspension of disbelief was failing me. I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
no, come on,
Yeah.
really, no.
Yeah. Not too long ago, Adam and I we talked about Howl's Moving Castle.
Mhm.
And we discussed like how just like the side comments that were just kind of said casually in the beginning were like the bulk of the plot.
Yeah.
and and
This
it
movie
was like
definitely
how
warrants you paying
little the
attention.
director cared that you were following. And that might be the same idea here.
Yeah, so the DC minis, they're powered. They're like they're they use like humans like the Matrix to power itself. So the more people that are tapped into it, the more powerful it gets.
Mm.
So that's what the bald dude was doing. He was trying to collect um people to use the device, and then he was able to project. He was kind of like able to reverse engineer it. So instead of reality going into dreams, dreams could enter into reality, and that was what was causing the
Mm.
the break. Um,
Okay.
they mentioned that kind of offhand earlier on when they're explaining the DC Mini to the police detective when he first arrives at the company, and the reason that um uh certain people like the all the doctors and stuff were affected by it was because they spent so much time using the device that it kind of kind of like with the Matrix, they're always like kind of tapped into it because
They were the
they're
beta
repeated
testers.
use.
They were
So it's more
they were the
energy
beta
based.
alpha tester group.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like with water, right? Like if you pour water, it'll follow the path of least resistance because their brains were like mapped out to use it so much. They were just more in tune with the effects of the things. That's why initially um the only people that were affected by it were the researchers and the people that like worked for the company because they spent so much time with it. But as more and more people had the minis, the ZC minis implanted in them, the more powerful um, the ability to control dreams were.
Okay.
Okay, I might have. I don't know. Maybe I lost a detail or two in that. I I happened to watch the dubbed version.
Hmm.
Um, which I mean, yeah, we're not here to argue. What's better, anime subs or dubs? A potential future story idea, a future show idea. I don't know, but um, usually I'll go for the dubs because I want to, I want to get an idea of how the writers and the translators, you know, how do they sort of like reinterpret the vision of the
Right.
work to a different audience, whether it be, you know, American or Spanish or French, what have you.
Mhm.
But I was under the impression that there were only like 3 or 4 of these DC minis. And yeah, they did establish that, it uses biometric signals to power itself. Uh, I mean, pacemakers can do that. Pacemakers, use the body's own, heat and electrical impulses to keep itself, regulated. That's why grandpa doesn't need, a change of AA batteries, every few weeks for a sticker.
Mhm.
But it can't like make anything happen. It can't make a new heart. It can't. So I was I was wondering, are there like nanomachines in this? Are there like nanites making this happen? I just I mean, I could buy the DC Mini as just sort of, the MacGuffin device of, okay, in this world, people can go into each other's dreams. That's a thing. Here is what bridges the gap between the real and the dream. That much I was on board with.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. My brain did like a wholesale kind of belief where it's like, okay, the terrorist is a sniper and he's using the dream as a gun, sniping people half across the world, and then
somehow the
borrowing
dream
their dreams
returned.
and reloading and hitting someone else. And
No, somehow the Dream Lord returned.
yes.
Just
Well,
because.
and I definitely think this is a movie that you have to kind of, it's intentionally designed, or you have to watch it several times to kind of understand.
Yeah.
The point of the DC minis isn't to be able to project stuff out. It's not like a robot or like a nanobite. It more is what allows you to control and shape your dream, like people's dreams. So it doesn't need multiple people. Um, it's more so it gave I forgot the guy's name. Um, yeah, Dr. Inui, the guy in the wheelchair, the
Mm-hmm.
ability to control and shape people's dreams. And then by connecting everyone's connective consciousness within the dreams, he's able to project and manifest dreams into reality
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
device. So
Yeah.
it's not about having multiple devices. It's just the one device to kind of shepherd all the dreams into one collective dream, and then using the power of that to then make reality, like, to be able to be controlled by him.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
DC Mini to rule them all.
Hmm. So this is kind of like the complete opposite of the movie Love Hurts, which holds your hands through the entire 90 minutes, making sure you can piece together the plot
That's
minute by
why
minute.
that's why it's so good. Well,
Yes.
well, part part of the movie and why I like it so much is that it's not necessarily a movie that's about like plot or enjoyment, or like Satoshi didn't make the movie um with the idea of like you walking into this movie theater, sitting down and watching it and be like, "Oh wow, that was really cool," and just like walking away. This movie is like definitely about film and about film theory and about um like the intersection of the audience and what they're watching. Um like for example, there were a bunch of sequences where like Paprika is like sitting in a movie theater, like an empty movie theater, watching the detective play out his dream sequence and then like clapping when he like finished. So it was like you're watching a movie of a woman watching a movie, right? Or then like later on, after the detective saves Paprika from when she's captured, and he like goes through all those like movie scenes, and then at the end it's like the classic action hero. He like you know looks into the middle distance, right? Looks into the camera, and then like kisses her, and then everyone, it cuts to like this movie theater, the same movie theater. Everyone stands up and cheers as like this movie plays, as it plays out. So it's like this idea of like film theory, and how like dreams are representative of film, and film is always representative of dreams. Like you look at, we talked about Mulholland Drive the other day, right? um
Hmm.
so again, this is similar in that like it's this meshing idea of like dreams as a metaphor for film, and film a metaphor for dreams. especially with like the detective, and um, like they even talk about like film techniques and stuff when they're like sitting and the detective's like
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, they
Um,
talked about depth of field.
depth of field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, as a
Um,
photographer, I mean, that's, you know, that's it's not really like a basic principle. It's kind of, like a intermediate, higher than amateur film knowledge. And I really liked the inclusion of the cinema tropes. Um because it, again, combined with the aggressive realism, it it really pulls you into the mind of the detective, you know. So when you get more of his backstory later, it's like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's why he, he has kind of this like love-hate relationship with cinema, you know.
Yeah. I mean, correct me that his whole deal was that he used to make movies as a teenager, and his brain kind of like just forgot or like kind of lost that reality, and now his brain was trying to bring that back into his career as like
Right.
a
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like I don't know, like, I guess, like a safe space that you might create within yourself. If you're going through trauma, you might fall back on something something comfortable and familiar from your
Right.
past, something that you used to enjoy doing.
yeah. I
So
mean,
yeah, you are on the nose with
yeah.
that.
I mean, the expectation was that we were supposed to find out some secret killer within his dream, and he's like, "Oh, it was Johnson the whole time." Like, Paprika, you're a genius. But it was like, no, it's like I'm just trying to get in touch with like who I was as a teenager.
yeah, and like more on the like film theory analysis train. Like the whole point of the movie is that it's like there's a film like analysis approach called Lackeyan film theory. So it's this idea. So these are the key ideas, right? That first is like desire is central to the human experience and is largely unfulfilled. That's why we watch movies. That's why we dream, right? Like
Hmm.
we like James Bond not because it's a reflection of our everyday life, but it's something that we aspire to be, right?
Hmm.
That's the desire, right? And then the next step is called the gaze, right? So the viewers, us, the audience, are active participants in constructing meaning through the visual engagement with the film, right? So like in Paprika, um, there's literally depictions both like at the circus or in the the movie theater sequences as the detective is like saving Paprika, um, right? They're active participants engaging with the film, and that leads into the next part, identification, right? Where viewers identify with images on the screen, but it's an illusion, right? So we identify with the detective. We're like, oh, he's the good guy. He's the hero. Of course he is. He's the mustachioed, muscular man, right? He's got the gun. He's a little older, but he's got rugged, good looks. You know what I mean? Like, and so like we identify with him because that's like something that's desirable, as opposed to like this overweight kind of dorky scientist that like at the end is actually the hero and gets the girl. um and that's the final thing, right? Where self deception, right? Viewers may assume that the images on the screen represent themselves, which leads to an increase in their understanding of reality. So uh playing again with the ideas of um like when we view movies and when we've like in Paprika when the dreams become reality, um how do we project ourselves, and how do we read ourselves into what we're seeing. um I think the best scene that represents this is when the detective is like sitting in that bar and he's like drinking the whiskey and he goes, I'm not drunk, I know I'm not drunk, I'm in the internet, but he is drunk.
Mhm.
um and even though and so just like as like when we're watching a movie, like if the character viewpoint that we're watching is drunk, then we as the audience, because we're engaging with this, we are drunk even though we might not actually physically be. um so
Like
really it's just
parasympathetic.
sure, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
um So it's again, it's a movie that is like was made kind of like The Boy and the Heron, that Miyazaki made, where it like doesn't feel like this was made for an audience per se, and like it wasn't made with the intention of somebody liking it as much as it was, hey, I have a vision and I'm gonna make like this art. And there's like this other quote from when the one scientist, I forgot his name, is inside the robot. You know what I'm talking about? When he goes into the dream and he's like in that toy
I don't
robot.
know his name. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
real with you. I gave my own names to the cast. Like
It
yeah, there was Paprika,
was
but there was also Detective Jameson, Dr. Chungus, Evil Professor X, the old dude.
Tokita. His name is Tokita. Um and he's like uh he's like talking to like all those dolls, and the dolls are like, it's dangerous to inquire about the master of the dream. And I think that that's key to this, right? Like it's dangerous to ask the film director the meaning of his dreams. And like because like
Mm,
at the end of the day, like you can get whatever message you want from like what you're watching, but the true intention of what's being made is only known to the director. And I feel like that's very Lynchian.
Right.
Yes.
indeed.
Mm. Another aspect is like the whole rules behind Paprika, who it seems like, is it Dr. Chiba?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Dr. Chiba like can transform like Sailor Moon into Paprika in real life and dream life. It's hard to tell which is which. And and Paprika's like, I don't know, I feel like she represents like some Carl Jung sexual psychology because
Oh,
everything
for
she
sure.
does,
Oh no, that was not lost on me.
yeah.
Yeah. I I took enough. I mean, I was actually a psych minor. Sorry, minor.
Hmm.
I majored in public relations, minored in psychology. I could have been like the greatest marketing professional ever. But
But you're here.
yes, I'm here now with you people.
Oh man, you screwed up.
You have no idea. Anyway, but yes, there were a lot of even the minor antagonist. Um, I I I, I don't want to give a name to him because he does have some sketchy roles in this movie, but yeah, he himself, you know, talks about. Wait, no. No. Well, he and Paprika were talking about they had this like Oedipal exchange of like, you know, what is this to you? Like you're working with the big bad, but he's like your mommy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And yeah, it did get a little heavy there. Like if you weren't expecting, you know, a little bit of a Freudian slip in your anime.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, I mean, Paprika uses seductive language and
Mhm.
mannerisms when she's with her clients.
Yes.
You know, talking about like, oh, I'm gonna go inside you and fix you, and it's like, all right, maybe you're in the wrong career, girl.
Oh my.
You know that, and so
Yeah,
I mean,
being rough is said a lot. They're like, "I'm gonna get rough with you," and it's like, "Oh,
all right,
You
yeah.
like it rough.
So she's kind of like a whole separate character. Like,
yeah." It's like an
Yeah.
alter ego.
She's
this
a
is gonna
persona.
sound lame,
Yeah.
but like, this is what I think of. She's like the Goku of this. She's the one with the most potential to solve the problem, the one who knows what's going on and how to manipulate the situation to work. When you see Goku, you're like, oh, finally, the good guys are going to win. Same
I
thing with
mean,
Paprika.
she literally flies on a cloud. Um,
That's true.
but
She does.
but also at the same time, who ultimately saves? Like, who's the hero ultimately at the end of the day? It's not Paprika.
I mean, she does become a 90-foot naked woman, and that does something. Not sure what, but it did something.
I could tell it did something.
This movie is rated R, by the way. Just if anyone's interested, and
What gave that away?
I really think what tipped the scales was the two slightly tasteful artistic nude scenes.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah,
clicks on
it
this
was.
and they're like, "Oh, an anime for my children to watch tomorrow."
Yes.
Quality content here on Film Logic.
Only the best.
Yes. Well, usually we're talking about checkers movies, but this is clearly 4D chess. So,
Oh yeah. All of our movie discussions up till now were just regular checkers. This is Star Trek chess.
yes. That Star Wars chess
Yeah.
where you let the Wookiee win. Definitely this is it.
Yeah, but are we really surprised that a movie about psychologists is
Oh
psychologically
no,
deep?
no, not at all. Not at all.
Well,
With this much psychology, I would be disappointed if there wasn't a little bit of Oedipal conflict.
yeah. Uh Actually, all movies are part of the psychosis. No, just kidding.
I mean,
All
I don't want to
movies
be
are
that
part
guy.
of the grand dream.
I
Yes,
mean that's kind of what the movie is saying.
yes.
But it's just a film theory.
hmm
Oh,
It's just a theory. Wait,
It's
we're not that show.
it's true. And the minute I saw who you call Dr. Chungus, um, which is kind of the very obese, childish doctor, and
Yeah.
I thought that like he was supposed to represent what Japan thought of America. They're
I
like,
don't
look at
think
this
you're
guy
wrong. I
stuck.
don't think you're wrong with
Yeah,
that archetype.
because he looks very Caucasian. He's the closest to a Caucasian in this movie. So
he's how I think I come off to my friends.
when you're stuck in an elevator,
Just getting like 2 plates of food delivered to me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was very uncomfortable to watch, which is also very Lynchian.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, like in the very visceral, realistic sort of way. Again, no no time was wasted. No effort was spared in, absolutely describing through ink and paint you know, how people like this would act and behave, even if
Mhm.
it's a severely overbeast man getting momentarily stuck in an elevator.
Yep.
And I meant Big Chungus only as a funny, haha, sort of, sort of internet trope kind of way. I believe all bodies are beautiful bodies. It's
Right.
just uh,
Mm.
Well,
it's just how my brain worked.
Go ahead, Mike.
oh, I was just going to say, Paprika did not think he was beautiful. Um,
No,
the
not at
whole cast
first.
and crew behind this movie made it very clear that this is a uncomfortable to look at man.
It was really bordering on body shaming.
Well, yeah,
Was
she
the
goes right out and says, "You need to lose weight and stop eating so much." Which, you know, maybe she's doing the. This is what everyone's thinking in the audience. I might as well say it.
saying the quiet part out loud, aren't you, Paprika?
Yeah. I mean,
Or
there's
Dr.
one
Shable?
part where she just goes off on like his childishness, and because
Yeah.
he says a lot of stupid things, and she just totally goes off on him and says that like he's just a big man baby, and this is a serious science and you're just ruining it with your immaturity. And I kind of
Now,
was
now
like,
for the uninitiated weebs who may be listening, this is what we call a tsundere, a woman who acts tough and mean and prickly and demeaning when, deep down she wants to be sweet and cutesy and, lovey-dovey. There you go.
right. And I
Get
think that's
educated.
the female
Sorry.
character in every shonen jump.
You learn something new every day.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, education.
So, Adam, you asked this good question. Would this translate to a live action film? Would we be able to pull it off, or would we fail like so many live action Netflix?
Don't let Netflix get this, bro.
No. Keep Netflix far, far away from this.
Yeah, this seems like an HBO Max project.
At least.
At least we know they can handle the nudity.
And they know something about animation.
Yeah.
Get the guy that did Parasite.
Oh, that's not a bad
Go-Who.
decision.
Yeah.
The director behind the Dune movies, if you want like a drier look at the film, but more like artistic, I think he'd do a pretty good job.
Collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this movie is the perfect example of why animation in anime doesn't get translated well into live action.
Oh,
To like
100%.
to build more into like the dream as the movie idea, like the whole point of like live action movies, when you watch them, it's you're able to suspend your disbelief to a certain point, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you're watching, Guardians of the Galaxy. You're like, okay, like I can accept that Rocket Raccoon is a talking little animal dude because it looks like it's fantastical, but it's still based a little bit in reality. Um, when movies start to lose you and when they become like too weird, or like when you're watching like the Full Metal Alchemist version of live action, and like Alphonse is just like not right. He just doesn't look right. It's because like animation is able to bring you to the point of suspending your disbelief further than real life is able to.
Right.
So you're able to deal with more fantastical things in an animation and in a dream as opposed to live action.
Mhm.
No matter what you do in live action, it can never you're limited by physics. Whereas with like animation, that like bets are off for that. So you could
Right.
have the perfect director, perfect cast, perfect everything, and it's still not going to be like 100%. It's still going to be like weird.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like the only way you can probably kind of get close is something like Detective Pikachu, where at least with like the Pokemon, they're like grounded sort of in reality, right? Like they're like, oh, there's things that I can visually identify that makes sense. But if you just saw like that giant parade in live action, you'd be like, no. Your brain would
Yeah.
just reject
Yeah.
it. It'd be like
You're like, nope.
it'd be ridiculous.
The
It would be
Yeah.
walk
like
away.
it'd be like someone telling you to take Spy Kids 3D seriously. Like it'd be like that.
Oh, I could never do
Uh,
that. No, no.
I-
But yeah, you are like on the nose there, Adam. Like, I mean, I think the problem also is that a lot of the Western audience wants the Hollywood ending. They want, you know,
Yeah.
this a simple resolution that they can
Stand up and
understand.
applaud. Like the
mhm.
Yes,
detective, the
exactly.
handsome grizzled detective saving the girl, not
Yes,
the obese autistic robot guy.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's that's the detective archetype. That's something that a lot of Western audiences can connect with, and so in a way, Paprika does have a Hollywood ending, but that's not the true ending. It's like you get through that video game and you beat what you think. Oh, surely that's the final boss. No, 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 no. Anime goes like 17 steps higher. You know, the real boss is the old man that you thought had died and has now morphed into this giant naked shadow leviathan that's ready to stomp out Tokyo.
Mm.
And you know I, yeah, again, just would not translate well into live action. I really don't want to see anyone try it, if I'm being honest. um
Yeah. I think
this
that's
is
fair.
just, it's good as it is.
Right.
It's like,
Just
you
leave it
know,
alone.
yeah,
Yeah.
leave it alone.
Yeah.
The
The mhm.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say the poster child case for me is how much better the Suicide Squad animated movie is over the films. Even with James Gunn working on him, there's just so much you can do with animation that that your brain will accept, and it'll be like, yeah, this is fantasy. This is what fantasy is supposed to look like. This is what larger than life looks like. But putting larger than life and craziness into reality, it just, yeah, it's just like it doesn't work. You're like,
Oh,
this is a fanfic to the
yeah,
cartoon, right?
it breaks our little 8-pound meat computers.
Yep.
Mm.
Like, we can't deal with it.
Yeah. And so like I think the best that live action anime adaptations are gonna get is Speed Racer. Um, because
Hmm.
one, it fully leaned into the idea of it being an anime, but it's live action. Like it's unapologetically cartoony, but it's like
Hmm.
real.
Mhm.
And the Wachowski siblings, like fully get that. I mean, that's what the Matrix is, right? Like the Matrix is a shonen anime, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't tell me that it's
100%.
not. And they just kind of lean. You just have to lean into the silliness. And the counterbalance to that is fundamentally, does anything that happens in Speed Racer with the cars and the racing, is it fundamentally any different than the Fast and the Furious movies? No. Like they do the same insane crazy stuff, but the difference is that, like, Fast and the Furious kind of gets a pass because it's at least sort of grounded in reality, or it's connected, like the audience is able to like see it and connects with it, right? As opposed to Speed Racer, which is so fantastical and so crazy, and that's why audiences are like, this is weird, get this away from me.
Yeah.
But we should do an episode on Speed Racer, but
Uh,
it's
that is
that's neither here nor there.
that is a test case for underrated sci-fis.
Mm.
And I think people are coming back around on Speed Racer now, but it's like, if we want to have like a 2-hour conversation, Speed Racer as the best live action adaptation is the one that'll set me off.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have not seen Speed Racer.
Oh, definitely give.
So
We'll do it. Maybe we'll do it. We'll do it somewhere someday.
I have the
I'll watch it.
DVD. I can send it to you.
Beautiful.
Like Netflix DVDs through the mail.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the good old days of Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. So
Yeah. So the final question before we close out is, where does this fit? We're all anime fans to some degree. I'm probably the least experienced with them. So I know all of you are going to give smart answers. But where does this fit in your top anime? Is it your top 10? Is it on the Mount Rushmore? Is it just an okay movie?
It's definitely not in my top anywhere, but at least it's better than Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
There's some Jujutsu Kaisen fan who's like, the nerve of that lady.
Let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. Because are you talking about like Jujutsu Kaisen 0?
No, just like the whole thing, just like the whole show.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Like,
Wild.
all of JJK is objectively bad.
That's hilarious.
You heard her.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hot take.
Jujutsu Kaisen 0 has a 98 on both the critic and audience scores.
It's crazy.
It's like one of the highest like rated and well. Just anyways, that's either here or there. That's not what we're talking about.
It's okay to hate the power. All right.
Rise up.
Yep.
Oh, personally, for me, this might break into like bottom of my anime top 10. I mean, it's really good. It's really good. I was thoroughly entertained, and I could connect with it, other than at the end with the whole, gargantuan dream come reality sort of sequence. I didn't know, did evil Professor X get a stand? Is that the power of his stand? to control everyone's dream? Aside from that, this is, it's visually beautiful, and it's well constructed. It connects on on various levels with people, people who might be, cinephiles who just love seeing a good story, you know, like the classic, you know, cinema tropes. Or if you're, you know, just a regular anime fan, it ticks those boxes as well. Or, you know, pretty much if you don't hate animation, like my mother,
Right.
she she and I are very different. I love animation. She hates it. She's like, I don't want to watch a cartoon. Give me something real. I like real things.
Mhm.
That's
Does she
I'm not
burn flip
exaggerating.
books?
Does she burn what?
Does she burn those flip books because they make a little animation when you flip them?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she's convinced that animation's black magic. Like it's like it was sent from the underworld to destroy us.
Amen.
Well,
Me
if
when
that's
I
wrong,
watched
I don't
Jujutsu
want to be
Kaisen.
right.
Well, I mean, for you guys, what are the ticks on the thermometer, right? So like what are we gauging this against? You know?
Okay, it might just be because this other title was it happened to be paired with um Paprika on the Apple TV page, but Belle from from oh gosh, I'm blanking on the studio who made it. It's I don't know if it was Trigger, but you know that's like another sort of mindscape type movie, where it kind of blends with social media. It's about a shy, awkward, traumatized girl who establishes a persona online and inadvertently becomes a pop star singing songs, as something that's, very contrary to her IRL personality. Um, that does
Sounds suspiciously like the Disney Channel movie Radio Rebel.
Or Hannah Montana?
Yeah.
oh no, no, just no.
Don't
Continue.
compare this art.
How dare you keep your decom drivel out of this podcast? We only discuss quality cinema here,
It's true.
like Dante's Inferno.
That's fine.
Mhm. So you're a fan of Belle.
Yes.
Ivy, what would you say is in the realm of your top animes?
Oh, well, JoJo is definitely number one.
Oh,
I
for
guess
sure.
number two would be The 12 Kingdoms. It's really obscure, but it's like peak fiction and it needs to be picked up again. Uh,
Mhm.
Probably number three, I guess, I don't know. It's hard to rank it all. I know like Fruits Basket is in there, Dragon Ball, One Punch Man. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Adam, to answer your question, the mo- the more I look into like slice of life and sports and just just the daily grind of life, the more I appreciate those animes, probably because I can relate to them.
Yeah,
Because
they're very
all
good.
the animes that are supposed to be like sci-fi just feels like a bunch of 13-year-olds or kids fresh out of junior high trying to save the world, and it's just like I can't relate to that anymore. I'm too old. I want to see someone struggle in the office, and I want to see them animated do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
So,
seen Steins Gate?
oh no, I haven't.
Oh, okay. That is okay. I gave my anime film recommendation, Bell. That is my episodic anime recommendation, Steins Gate.
Hmm.
It's a very, very underrated. Um, Actually, one of the few series that had a somewhat successful spin-off series as well. Usually, an anime gets a following, they decide to make some kind of variant of it, and it just becomes, everyone thinks it's garbage or it's objectively garbage. Um, a lot of examples, too many to list, but no. Steins Gate Zero, highly recommend.
Yeah.
I also
I
feel
think
like
they're both.
you might enjoy Kaiju number 8 because it is about like someone who's well into
Oh, yeah.
adulthood doing things. It's not like a teenager.
Right.
Yeah.
So my goth phase, 97, 98, 99, I was into Anime of the Week on the Sci-Fi Channel. And I loved the 80s stuff because the 80s anime took itself so seriously.
Right.
Like, they treated anime like this is going to win the Oscar. And not just for animation. So I remember like Tank Police, Dominion Tank Police, Appleseed.
Mhm.
So that's what I like grew up into. Though I remember a distinct time when I set an alarm for 6 a.m. to catch Sailor Moon on Fox.
That's fair.
That was more being, a single high schooler than anything. But so like I was into like
every anime fan should have, at least one magical girl series in their catalog, their repertoire.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Mike, all those recommendations I gave you were very good, but this is the best recommendation, and it's called Servant Cross Service, and it's about a group of civil servants who work in the government of a city in Hokkaido, and the main character, Lucy, is just an office worker working for the government, and she works there because she wants to. And it's them helping like old ladies file for health insurance.
That sounds
sounds like
amazing.
it'll go places.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Bureaucracy, the anime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we did an episode a long time ago, 3 podcasts ago, on Ippo Hajime.
With my brother.
Yes. And I remember really getting into that. And I'm like, do I like sports? No, that can't be true. I just think I really like that I understand what this guy's going through.
Right. Or didn't we also do an episode about Babysitter's Club?
Yeah. That one was just fun to talk about.
It's, for those that don't know, it's literally about a college student who has an infant, like a 2-year-old younger sibling, and he works at a daycare with this little with his little brother and like all his friends. And it's like my brother's favorite anime. It's very good.
And the kids have like a fart parade.
Yeah.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, all really great. Yeah, and I guess to answer your question, Mike, for me, it's hard because I don't really think of Paprika as like a movie as much as like I kind of like lump this in with like Boy and the Heron and Metropolis, where it's not really a coherent. It's not like a movie or a story, right? That's made to be like consumed as much as it is like an artist making a painting and saying, "Here it is. Get out of it what you want to get out of it." This is just like a labor of like love, if that makes
Right.
sense. So it's like that's not, yeah, it. But for me, like my favorites, the ones that like I enjoy with coherent plots and like things like that, would be stuff like like Tale of Princess Kaguya or Grave of the Fireflies or Akira, Kiki's Delivery Service, stuff like that. My Neighbor Totoro. I actually saw something pretty. I think we talked about. I don't know if we did, but I saw something pretty recently called The Colors Within, which was really great. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. End of Evangelion.
Yes. And just so you know, we saw this. Well, 3/4 of us saw this on Tubi, which you get the subbed version. So it's, and they also have Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress, which is other like really highly rated animes. So the minute I saw those, I'm like, oh, there's actually a genre of realistic looking anime with high art concepts. And I instantly threw out my Naruto DVD and
As you should.
yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, Perfect Blue is also the same director from Paprika, Satoshi.
Ah. I'm going to put Perfect Blue on my list.
I wanted
As
to
you
watch
should.
that for a long time.
It's pretty good. It actually it kind of has some similar themes of Paprika, which is pretty funny. But again, dealing with like this blending of reality and dreams and stuff like that, fantasy and reality and stuff. It's really great. Yeah. He the director Satoshi Kon, who we kind of talked about but not really. He also worked on a couple episodes of JoJo, so it was good that you guys talked about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a little bit because he worked on
It all comes together.
it all comes back to JoJo's.
Yes. Everything is a JoJo reference.
Yep.
Wait,
JoJo.
is he like Rohan Kishibe? Is he like rewriting this?
Maybe. Unfortunately, he did pass away shortly after I think Paprika came out. So no, but
that's a
Or at
shame.
least that's what our dreams told us.
well, if it gives any indication of how much he's loved, Darren Aronofsky wrote a eulogy for him.
Wow.
Very cool.
Praise from Caesar.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you are famous for directing Requiem for a Dream, it kind of makes sense that he's into your stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we did justice to Paprika, and I look forward to finding other animes that are either hidden gems or just very special to cinema, and talking about them in the future. I don't think our beloved audience wants us to go full anime and turn into the show called Subs Over Dubs. But it's definitely something we need to revisit.
For sure.
For sure.
And we shall.
But hear me out. Hear me out. Weeb Logic when?
Weeb Logic. You know, if we were ever big enough to do like where we had a Patreon like special subscription, we'd have to make Weeb Logic.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, we could just
That's our goal.
see if we can make a channel. I don't know if too many of our brothers and sisters on Retro Logic are as into anime, but maybe.
Mhm.
I wish.
He'll be another member of this great big loving family of ours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shouts out to our friends on Radio Chaos. They have an anime podcast called Anime Brew, run by a couple of our friends that have been on. But yeah, we don't have any Yeah, we don't have too much anime talk over on Retro Logic.
I know. And basically, we got the part of Japan that loves video games, but not the
Yeah.
other part.
You think
Exactly.
there'd be a crossover, but
Mhm.
Pokemon's probably the closest we'll get.
And with so much JRPG representation in Retro Logic, it makes sense. Someone's gotta carry the anime torch.
Well, half of our crew thinks that anime is just cutscenes between gameplay.
Same.
But we need to open their eyes that there's an actual art form. Standalone anime, I call it. But we'll get more into that. Folks, thank you so much for going down this windy path with us. And if you enjoyed it, please give us a like or a subscribe, or tell the person next to you about us. Because we love any and all new people that want to enter into this conversation with us. And get ready for next week when we have our to be decided episode. And the expectations in this movie, which is called Scary Movie 1991, not that scary movie. This is, you literally have to type in Scary Movie 1991 to find it on Tubi. That movie blows away all expectations, maybe in a good way, maybe in a bad way. We'll discuss it. Anyways, I've been Mike.
I'm Adam.
I cease to be Ivy.
I'm Vin. And water isn't real. It's a conspiracy propagated by the deep end of the deep state.
Speak
Not
truth to
real.
power. All right. See you later, folks.